Liz and Jesse, this is Ephraim, who moved into the building recently.
Nice to meet you, Liz Bennett.
He's been nice enough to volunteer to speak today.
Oh, wonderful. It's always the best part.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Can't wait.
He's ready.
Oh, it's going to be great. Thank you for doing that. Oh, I've got mine right here. Yeah. Yes.
You want to text? Do you have a contact there?
Look at all the sun. Ah. Well, I get to go to lots of these, and your part is always the best part. So we both don't want to hear. So it's going to be great. They just want to hear from
We'd like you up here if you don't mind.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth. Hi, Liz from Bank of America. Nice to meet you.
All right, everybody. We gave you your first notice, but if people could fill in the seats, that'd be great. And if you don't want to sit in the seat, just gather around the side. We've got plenty of space. All right. We're going to have to send the sisters after folks that don't get seated. If folks could come in, it's really hard to do public speaking when everybody's 100 yards away. If the Mercy staff could help, just kind of sheep herd, that would be lovely. the front row. So there we go. All right. So I moved the podium just enough to be in the sun at this moment. So that was really good planning for me. So, well, any event, I'm Doug Shoemaker. I'm the president of Mercy Housing California. I'm here to welcome you today to a building opening, but it's not just an ordinary building opening. It's a building opening in honor of Sister Lillian Murphy, who you're going to hear a lot about today. This is a great event, obviously, because anytime we open new homes, new affordable homes in San Francisco amidst all the challenges we're experiencing with housing and homelessness, it's always an exciting day. We have a great set of speakers to talk to you today about sort of what this building represents and who Sister Lillian is and was to all of us. There are a couple folks in the audience I would just want to call out. Our CEO, Ismael Guerrero. Our former CEO, Jane Graff, who's here. I don't know where. I don't know, Patricia, founder, some sort of founder, Patricia O'Rourke. And there are other folks as well. I'll be mentioning more folks as we get closer, as we go through the agenda. But I just want to take a sec. So some of you are here specifically because you knew Lillian, and some of you are here because you know Mercy Housing or some combination of the two. You know, in a lot of ways, I feel inadequate as a speaker to talk about Lillian because she's done so much, and some of you know her for many more years than I did. But I'll just say this: like I am amazed on a pretty much daily basis that an idea that germinated with Patricia and a small group of people and not a lot of money and certainly not a lot of direct experience in developing housing, that a group of women religious, and Lillian in particular, took that idea and forged it and worked so hard and had such deep belief in what are really universal values, and worked and built what is now the largest nonprofit housing provider in the entire country. So that alone is amazing. So yeah, that's just... And I say that not because we're here to boast about being large. There's nothing all that special about being large. And Lillian would be the first to tell me not to boast. But I think what it represents really is a desire that she was unyielding on and driven on, which was that we needed to do more for more people, and we needed to go deeper in our impact. And she created, with Jane and with all of you, an organization that is really astounding. I feel incredibly fortunate to work at Mercy Housing. I know a lot of, well, hopefully most of us feel the same way. And I learned a lot from Lillian over those years. I would say, for those of you that know us both, we are not exactly cut from the same cloth. No pun aside, Miguel. But no, really, I come from a different religious experience. I entered Mercy Housing not knowing a whole lot about Lillian. I knew Jane. And, you know, right from the beginning, my first conversation with Lillian and virtually everyone along the way, she was always teaching. She was always showing you what she thought leadership represented. I learned a phrase that I'm still working to live up to, that I think she embodied, which is confident humility. And I think that is one of those traits that I'd never heard that combination of words before. And I think she embodied it almost more than anyone that I've ever met. And for those of you that knew Lillian, when she decided on something, when she wanted something to happen, there was no stopping her. There was no stopping her. But she did it in the nicest possible way. And maybe the only times I've ever gotten yelled at by Lillian, although there are a few, is if I missed that humility piece, which I did, or she felt like someone was being impolite. So she really had this notion that we could do this really hard work in a field that's not renowned for its politeness, that being construction and real estate development. Sorry, those general contractors among you. Really, it's only the building inspection department that's renowned for its... Small joke. We're really happy to be joined by our friends at the building inspection. But you know, she together with everyone else at Mercy, kind of willed something into being that is here today and is developing and preserving and operating, managing apartments for lower-income families, seniors, people that are coming out of homelessness. I was talking to Dolly earlier, increasing numbers of vets, and a whole host of other folks that are just unable to afford the markets in which we find ourselves building housing, and that is an incredible achievement. So nowhere is it harder in some ways, but also easier than in the city of San Francisco. Harder because, as everybody knows, this is a very expensive city to build in. Easier because we couldn't ask for a more supportive group of elected officials and a public that really believes in this, and none more so than the supervisor for this district, Supervisor Matt Haney, who's going to come up and say a few words. So, Supervisor.
Thank you, Doug, and it is a beautiful day to have this dedication for this facility and also to honor an extraordinary person and leader. I want to first acknowledge and recognize all of the family and friends of Sister Murphy, of Lillian, for your work with her, for your support of her work, learning more about what she accomplished, both in terms of the depth and breadth and the way that she did it, the personality that she had. We feel that impact here in San Francisco every day. Mercy Housing is not only building facilities and units, it's building communities. And it's doing it by instilling a level of care and compassion for the people who live in these communities. And this particular building is in many ways an exemplar of that. It includes not only housing, but for all of the folks who are here and are part of building this community, I also want to give a special recognition to you. I know that what happens in a building like this is not only a bed for someone to lay on, but also a person for them to talk to, a child care center, services like music lessons, and a general sense that when you are here, you're supported and you're taken care of. And I'm sure that that was a vision that all of you had for what Mercy could provide. And I think it's a special day to be able to dedicate this particular facility that so much demonstrates those values. And thank you to everyone who made this happen. You know, we always, Doug obviously was a huge part of this, but I know there are folks from the city who are here. There are people who helped to finance it, Bank of America. There's the folks from the national organization, the faith community, contractors, people who actually built this with their hands. And none of this could happen without you. I just want to say to close, I represent a district that stretches from here in Mission Bay all the way up to the Tenderloin. And we are building a lot of affordable housing for families in San Francisco, especially in communities like the Tenderloin. And every single time we cut a ribbon, it's special. But it's especially special when we cut a ribbon in a place like this, because we also get to say that every neighborhood in our city, every community in our city should have buildings that are affordable for families, that this shouldn't be something that is rare. It should be something that is common in our city. And Mission Bay, I think, is beginning to demonstrate that in a way that should provide an example for communities across the city and country. When you walk down here, you listen to people walking around who are going to the Warriors game or going to get some food here across the street, and they'll look up at these buildings and go, wow, this is a fancy community. Look at how all of these fancy, expensive buildings are going up. And one of my favorite things to do is to be able to correct people and say, yes, that's a fancy building, but it's an affordable building. It's an affordable building for families. And everybody, whatever their income level, deserves to have access to housing as beautiful and thriving as this building we are in right now. And so I'm very proud of the Mission Bay community. And I'm excited for the future of this neighborhood. Just across the street, we're going to build the first new school in San Francisco in 20 years. It's a public school, and we'll be able to serve the families of this community. So thank you so much for everyone who made this happen. Thank you to the Mission Bay community. Thank you to the residents for allowing us to be here and celebrate with you. And this is a powerful, powerful testament to Sister Murphy and who she was and her values, and also what is possible in our city and what we need a lot more of. Thank you.
As the supervisor said, this is a very unusual neighborhood. I think some of you know this story, but some of you don't. This is a neighborhood that is a former redevelopment area, now rebranded as the Office of Community and Infrastructure Investments. I always get OCI. I know it's OCII, and I apologize, but we're joined by Commissioner Bustos, who's very nicely come down here, some great staff and colleagues from OCII, Director O'Riordan from the Department of Building Inspection. It's really great to see all of you here, and I know that you played such a huge role in making this happen. So for those of you that don't know Mission Bay, it's a master plan community on former industrial land. When the city was working to put together the plan for the neighborhood, the redevelopment agency at the time worked to create an affordability goal, I believe, of 28% for the entire neighborhood. And that really became a hallmark that every other community neighborhood plan had since had to at least meet. So this was an incredibly important community plan for the history of San Francisco because it really set the bar for what we do elsewhere in the city. And if you look around the city and look at other neighborhoods, this was the neighborhood that, in a sense, started it all. So what Supervisor Haney remarked on is very intentional and a part of city policy and city belief. So, as you all know, these buildings are complicated, not just to build, but especially to finance. In the state of California, we never seem to be able to build anything without at least 5 or 6 different funding sources. But they come together. That's one of the jobs that our staff and the city staff work together on. But we have incredible partners at the state of California. We were lucky enough a few years ago to get a new state director of housing and community development. He has been a phenomenal ally. He pushes. We don't always agree on everything. He makes sure he knows I know when I'm wrong. Gustavo hasn't been wrong yet. So, but in any event, no, I say that in all sincerity. It's been an incredible relationship so far, and I know it's going to get even better because you want someone at the state of California pushing and trying to make the work that we do even better. And Gustavo, Lourdes Castro Ramirez, the secretary, have been phenomenal in advancing the governor's agenda around affordable housing and homelessness. And with that, I want to introduce a friend and colleague, Gustavo Velasquez.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Buenos dias, Doc. Thank you for that introduction. I just want to say, Doug is a great leader, does an amazing job leading this wonderful organization, Mercy Housing, in the state of California. But he is, as you probably know, every so often in Sacramento fighting the good fight. He's been a terrific partner in helping state government choose the state priorities that are right, that this state needs in this tremendous issue that we confront ourselves in, the crisis of homelessness and housing affordability. So thank you, Doug, for your leadership and everything you do to advance really statewide policy, not just the interest of Mercy Housing. And when you spoke about Sister Murphy, just, heard a remarkable person. She definitely taught well. Mercy is, having done national work before coming to the state, Mercy is one of the most compassionate. We have the president here of Mercy, compassionate, effective, affordable, nonprofit housing developers in the country, arguably in the world. So big shout out to Mercy for everything they do, really, not just here in California, but across the country. And I want to commend all the partners, just like Supervisor Haney said, all the partners that came together from the inception of this remarkable, look around, it's just remarkable housing, the vegetation. It seems like you did use some sustainable materials here. It's just amazing what you've done here. I came a little early from Sacramento. I like to always drive around or walk around if I can, the neighborhood, because as we know, housing is not just the bricks and mortar, but it is access to opportunity. Everything that is around the housing that creates opportunity for the people and the families that live here. And certainly this project fulfills this. the Newsom administration has been investing billions of dollars in the creation of more affordable housing for the last, roughly 2 years. We continue to, act with urgency because this crisis requires acting with urgency, and Governor Newsom is keenly aware of that. The state legislature, we have great partners. The city of San Francisco has been a terrific partner to the state, investing on their own, hundreds of millions of dollars also to create more affordable housing. And we contribute in a small but significant part in this project, not necessarily in the creation of the units themselves, but on the infrastructure. One of the most popular programs in the state that we have, the infill infrastructure grant program. You do think a lot about how the housing is built, but there's a lot of infrastructure that needs to be set up to support the densification of areas, enhancements so that we have greater access to the facility, more capacity for the other electricity, plumbing that needs to be in place. So the last time the affordable housing developers competed to this program, only one of every $5 that was requested was awarded. So in order to win for programs like this, you have to put your absolute best project forth, and that is what Mercy does time and time again, whether it's this program or so many others. I also am honored to serve in the Tax Credit Allocation Committee. This project received bonds and tax credits from the state. So there are at least 3, and I'll close with that, 3 key priorities that the state government has that fit the bill so well when we look at this amazing Lillian Murphy project. First one is affordability. The state has underperformed the worst when it comes to the creation of affordable housing that is for very low, extremely low income households for the last 10 years. We've done okay with market rate, relatively okay, not so well, but relatively okay with moderate income housing. But when it comes to people earning 50 or maybe even lower, 30% of the area median income, the state needs to do a whole lot more. So when we see projects that value deeper affordability, we're going to be there every single time. Second is, I mentioned access to opportunity, right? The school that supervisor mentioned, that will be built across the street, access to great school, great amenities, the water not so far, access to opportunity for people that will live in here. That's another key priority of the state. And third, the intersection between housing and climate, making sure that people have access to walk by, just the proximity to the things that they have to do. Get off the car. We know that more than 40% of the greenhouse, the harmful greenhouse gas emissions that the state produces come from the use of cars and trucks. So just the ability to create housing that has proximity to everything that the residents need is going to be vital. And that's why the governor has requested an additional $250 million right now to the state legislature to build more projects like this under the infill infrastructure grant program. So don't say I said this, but your assembly members and your senators, if you like projects like this, that is the call to action here. So I'm not supposed to. I just want to, again, thank everybody, all the partners, the investors, Bank of America, the lenders, the architects, the city who is such an amazing partner, Mayor, Breed, Supervisor, everybody in the city is such strong champions of affordable housing. Thank you for the dedication. Thank you to all the partners. Thank you to Mercy. Gavin Newsom and Gavin Newsom administration is here with you all the way around. Thank you very much.
So with that, it's my distinct honor to bring up the mayor of San Francisco. She's played multiple roles over her many year career in government. But we talked earlier about the importance of the redevelopment agency and OCII. She was a commissioner back in the day before she was a supervisor, and now the mayor. And for those of you that are from San Francisco, she needs no introduction. She's one of the great housing champions that there is. And with that, I give you Mayor London Breed.
Thank you. Thank you, Doug. It really is great to be here and to see all of you. To see anybody. It's been 2 years of a global pandemic, and so the fact that we are able to come together in this capacity is really extraordinary. Forgive me, sisters who are here, for using a bad word. But I gotta say, I'm really excited to be here today, and it's always great to be here with some of our major housing funders, including Liz Minnick, I know is here from Bank of America. Thank you, Liz, and to Bank of America. We've been doing a lot of these groundbreakings for so many years because of the financial support afforded to projects, especially affordable housing projects in the city and county of San Francisco. And it's always great to be with Gustavo Velasquez, who is now my new favorite person in the whole wide state, because he really supports and believes in San Francisco. And we know it's very, very expensive to build here. And so having, both private and state financial support to get projects like this done is really extraordinary. But it's not just about the financing. It's about the people that make up the communities. And part of what's so important to me and what I fought really hard for, even before I became mayor, was to make sure that as we build housing in San Francisco, when we talk about building affordable housing in San Francisco, we have to make sure there's a direct connection between the units and the people who are a part of the fabric of San Francisco. And making that connection is so important. And neighborhood preference has played a vital role in ensuring that when we build it, that the ability for people who are part of the fabric of the community to live here is a part of what we do. This property is named for someone who has clearly been a real strong advocate for housing, especially affordable housing, as a champion when she was responsible for Mercy Housing. Lillian Murphy, Sister Lillian Murphy, who I know many of you were fortunate enough to either work with, have a relationship with, and over the years helped to spearhead under Mercy so many various developments all over San Francisco. And the people who are fortunate enough to have access to affordable housing, that a beautiful place to call home, are fortunate because of the work she's done. And it is so fitting that this particular development has her name representing her work, her legacy, and someone that we can remember and try to emulate in what we try to do to push forward to ensure that housing and access to housing exists for all people. She believed it should be a right, and in San Francisco, we have to work every single day to break down the barriers of bureaucracy, to raise the resources in order to get this housing built soon as we can to ensure that people are housed in our city, because we know it continues to be a challenge. And with that, I want to also thank so many people who have been involved in this, including Mercy Housing, for their continued work and advocacy. I really want to thank all the construction workers, all the people who help with the job placements and continued the work even throughout the pandemic. I know Success Center and Liz is here, who played a really important role in not only placement of folks who work on this project, but more importantly, long-term ensuring that this child care center and all the other resources that are going to be made available to the community, that these places, they thrive and they're available to the people who need them the most. We got a lot of work to do in San Francisco. And when I think about growing up here, and I think about how much things have changed and how many people have moved from our city, people that I grew up with, I'm really excited and happy that I see some familiar faces that actually live in this development. And it feels good, because this is why I work so hard. I want to see a direct connection between the people we know need the housing and the ability for them to be a part of these extraordinary communities that we are all working so hard to build. So yes, we have challenges, Jamal, but we are going to get them fixed sooner rather than later. But what I have learned from this pandemic more than any time, I think, in my life is, we lived through a global pandemic, something that many of us never thought we would even experience, only something we would read in the Bible and the history books and things of that nature. We lived through this over 2 years. We struggled. We were away from one another. We lost friends. We lost loved ones. And what I learned from this pandemic is how important it is to focus on the positive, to focus on how we come together as a city, as a community, to make things better, how we stick to not just complaining about the challenges and the struggle and what we lost, but what we gain by looking out for one another, what we gain by supporting and uplifting one another. We in San Francisco were one of the first cities to shut down, and although there were people's lives that were lost because of this pandemic, we, as one of the densest cities in the country, saw one of the lowest death rates and are seeing one of the highest vaccination rates anywhere. That is something to be proud of, but it is something that is also going to usher us into the future with a renewed commitment to ensure that we accomplish so many things for this city based on how great we did during the pandemic. We can adopt many of those same things that we did to use them in order to help transform our city for the better. Looking out towards a positive outlook, we will be able to build more housing and get people who are struggling with homelessness off the streets. Looking forward to building more housing and more projects like this, we will make sure that people are housing secure and housing is a right, and we continue to see those families and those people and those who might be struggling with addiction or mental illness have the life that they deserve, one of dignity and one that we know Sister Lillian Murphy would be truly proud to see. Thank you so much all for being here, and we look forward to getting this project going. Oh, well, everybody still lives. My understanding is people are living here now, so I'm glad that they're already living here. But today is just a celebration that we couldn't do in person before, so I'm glad to be here, and thank you all so much.
I just want to sprinkle in a few more acknowledgments. The great work from our general contractors at Cahill. I see some folks in the room. The Success Center, Liz, I appreciate all that effort as well. Great to see you. Liz does my nails, in case you're wondering. Our great architects from Paulette Taggart Architects and Studio Vara, the landscape architect, GLS Landscape Architecture, our phenomenal project management and property management and services team, but I want to particularly call out William Ho, who was the project developer for this. William, you're here somewhere. William has the unfortunate distinction of being the one we give the projects we're most excited about that then take long times to build, but not this one. So really happy that you were able to get this over the line. So as I said earlier, these buildings bring together a lot of different financial partners. You heard about the local commitment and the state commitment. We have a loan from the California Community Reinvestment Corporation. Say that 4 times fast. But great partners there. And then on what funds a lot of these buildings, for those of you that come to affordable housing openings, is some obscure thing that is really important called the low-income housing tax credit. And it is the backbone of the work that we do. We have the incredible honor of partnering with Bank of America on a lot of these deals. They're a phenomenal partner on both tax credits and on the lending side. Over $100 million of capital total that has gone into this from our partners at Bank of America. And as the mayor pointed out, we get to see Liz at a lot of these events because they're so active in the city of San Francisco and with Mercy Housing. And with that, I want to bring up Liz Minnick, who's the market executive for Bank of America.
Thank you, Doug, and good morning, everybody. I will go fast because I know we have a lot more speakers to get through as well. We are so honored to be here. Bank of America was founded in San Francisco in 1904, and our dedication to this amazing community remains. As both the mayor and Doug cited, we are so grateful that we get to do a lot of these and continue to see our city thrive and especially come back to life over what everyone has endured over the last 2 years. I'll continue to add to the thanks for our wonderful partners at Mercy Housing, the City of San Francisco, the Supervisor's Office, the Mayor's Office of Housing and Community Development, Office of Community Investment and Infrastructure. Now I get to do these words fast, Doug. California Community Reinvestment Corporation, and the California Department of Housing and Community Development. Thank you all so much, and it truly is an honor to be here with you today.
She said that more smoothly than I did, but she's had more practice, I think. So a couple other shout-outs. I know we have several board members, both national and local, so I see the Swifts back there, but other board members here, if you could just raise your hand and be thanked for your service. I don't remember which speaker said it, but this building is more than just housing. One of the things that we really pride ourselves on in Mercy is trying to figure out, when we're building a new housing development, what does a neighborhood want? What does a neighborhood need? What's missing, or what might make the neighborhood better? So I don't think Barbara Gualco's here today, but Barbara, who many of you know has been our longtime director of real estate, is our specialist. She's sort of like takes out the tuning fork, walks around the neighborhood and figures out what it needs. And so we are really lucky to have two great partners on this site. Kaiming Childcare, which is going to have 40 childcare spaces. They're building out their space here. And Blue Bear School of Music, which is, I just learned this is their first sort of permanent location, and they're going to be operating out of here. They're also in Fort Mason, so welcome them to the neighborhood. These buildings ultimately are home to just a lot of different types of people. I mean, that's sort of an obvious thing to say, but I said it. So now I can't undo it. But no, there's 152 affordable homes here, serving a really wide range. We have all the way up to 5-bedroom apartments here, from studios all the way to 5 bedrooms. You know, really, given the range of folks that live in our city, with an incredibly wide range of income. So we have folks who are here and paying, you know, very, very little in rent, you know, that fits what their household can afford, all the way up to folks earning $80,000, even $100,000 a year. And that mix of incomes is sort of what we believe makes for healthy communities. But, you know, as a goal, we always try and make sure these buildings serve the deepest affordability possible, which is really only something we can do with the partnerships from the public agencies that you heard about today. The other thing that's really special about this particular building, some of you may know we are lucky enough to be in partnership with residents at Sunnydale and the Housing Authority in the city on working on Sunnydale Hope SF. And so as part of that development, 25% of all the homes in this building were set aside for folks living in Sunnydale that wanted to move over here. That particular development has many years of construction ahead of it. So there are 25% of the 152 homes here were taken up by residents that moved from Sunnydale over here, and then they have a right to move back to Sunnydale if they want, or they can live in this fabulous neighborhood with the new school that Supervisor Haney and I were just talking about making sure we get built. So it's a really fabulous opportunity, and one that we're really excited about, because this neighborhood has so many of the amenities that are going to be in Sunnydale one day, but aren't necessarily all there at the moment. So it's a really fabulous opportunity. All right, so enough about the building. You're probably saying enough about anything, but I do want to just, I mean, the balance of the speakers here are really who you came most to see, I suspect. We are really fortunate to have Sister Lillian's family with us today, many members of the family. Jessie Cahill has graciously offered to say a few words about her aunt. Jessie's an educator who lives up in Santa Rosa, and she's going to say a few more words about her great aunt. Not her great aunt, her aunt who is great.
Hi everyone, I'm actually not a part of Cahill Construction, so two different families. But to my family, Sisters of Mercy, Mercy Housing, and my Auntie Lo's closest friends, I thank you all for being here. As I was previously introduced to you all by Doug Shoemaker, Mercy Housing's president, my name is Jessie Cahill, one of Lillian Murphy's many nieces. Reflecting on the work my aunt did at Mercy Housing for 27 years is remarkable. Being able to have her recognized here today at one of the newest buildings for Mercy Housing is one of the greatest gifts my family will ever receive. As many of you know, my aunt was proud to be from San Francisco. Mercy House, as I looked from the top of the floor of this building and saw the skyline of San Francisco, I can't help but think how my aunt will be feeling at this moment. Her siblings, Babe, Cookie, Jerry, Jack, Bobby, Denny, and parents Dennis and Catherine could not be here with us today. But I know are looking down and thankful their sister and daughter are being honored here at this building. Her willingness to help people who are underserved in our community, her caring heart, and perseverance has been ingrained through our whole family. She was and still is a role model for our whole family. She portrayed a sense of calmness and ease when speaking to her. As a young girl, I looked up to her in the hard work she portrayed when working for Mercy Housing. I didn't know she was such a big celebrity here. Now, as a future educator, I plan to use the same values in my teaching that she taught me. She is forever missed by our family and everyone she impacted while she was with us. May her legacy live on through Mercy Housing, our family, Sisters of Mercy, and Sister Lillian Murphy Community. Always remember to live your life in the fast lane, just like my aunt did. If you know how she drove, that's how she drove. Lastly, on behalf of Lillian's sister, Dolly, and our extended Murphy family, we thank you, Mercy Housing, for dedicating this building in honor of Lillian Murphy. Thank you.
We had a family event here on Sunday, family and friends event, to talk about Lillian and to share some stories. And Jane and others reminded us of one of Lillian's core beliefs, which was that building housing is not an act of charity, it's an act of justice. And so that's why we're here. Our board of directors several years ago actually created a Sister Lillian Murphy Housing Justice Award, which we give out to the staff member that does the most to advocate for social justice above and beyond their job. So her legacy lives on in many ways. I'll just say it now. Later, as you go through, there's a lovely portrait of Lillian in the hallway behind there, and there'll be tours and folks who tell you more about that work. Also, before I forget, I never remember to thank Monica Yang, who is our organizer of these events. So Monica, I'm getting it early. She has something like 16 events in 17 days to do, so she's on. I'm just kidding. I'm from New Jersey. I have a hard time establishing the truth. Or I know what it is, but I just don't always like it. I was lucky enough earlier today to get a chance to meet one of the newer residents in the building. Not newer residents, but one of the original residents of the building, but new to me. Ephraim Balio is born in the Philippines, emigrated here in the 1970s. He has strong roots in the Filipino community here. He lived in South Park, which some of you know is a lovely little neighborhood not far from here. And he has graciously offered to share a few words with us today. So, Ephraim.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I am Ephraim Games Baluyot, son of beloved father, a U.S. Army veteran, Eustaquio Baluyot, and beloved late housewife, my mother, Edvias Baluyot. I was born in the Philippines, and I came in San Francisco in 1972. I lived with my parents and 6 siblings, 2 brothers, 3 sisters, and I'm the youngest one. I'm born on November 9th, and I'm a Scorpio, and I'm a people person. In 2004, I moved to Clarita's Madrid Hotel, an SOR managed by Clarita's Mission. I lived in the 2nd floor with 19 tenants. Then I called them my roommates. I shared with kitchen and same bathroom with them. It was a good 6 years, but then some things changed under the new management. In 2019, all Madrid hotel tenants was moved temporarily in 2 locations. I wanted to stay temporarily at American Best in Value Inn at Folsom Street. Around April 2019, I received an email from Daisy, but I got a confusion with Daisy. I call her Dahlia. because Dahlia is the one the website. So Daisy, I said, I have to call Dahlia. Anyhow, I received from Daisy and told me that I am lottery number 1. And I submitted my application, and in May 21st, 2021, Friday, I asked my social worker, Andrew, to go with me to sign my list. That day, I am a resident living in 691 China Basin. And I thank Sister Lillian Murphy Community, Mercy Property Management, Maureen, Sweet, and Nini. And I'm so grateful to all who assist me in my new home. God bless us all, and I thank you. And peace to everybody. Thank you.
All right, Ephraim, you did me a favor because I was almost going to forget to thank Maureen McAleen and the leader of this incredible. And you did what you reminded me, and if you hadn't, I'd have been in big trouble. She's been with Mercy Housing for a very long time and is responsible for a lot of our great success. So Maureen and team over there, the property management.
I call them Sweet, Daisy, Maureen.
All right. So you're a combination of different flowers is apparently the takeaway here. When I met Ephraim earlier, it was really kind of astonishing because some of you probably, well, I imagine very few of you know where the Madrid Hotel is, but it happens to be the first project I ever worked on as a project. I wasn't even really a project manager. They just sort of sent me over there. I worked at Mission Housing early in my career, so it's phenomenal to hear about it. It's a lovely little building, notwithstanding the construction and whatnot, but a great little spot in South Park, and kind of funny just have that come full circle. I'm just going to wax on for a while. I don't get the mic anymore, so too much, so I've been waiting. No, in any event, this is really the end of our program except for a blessing that's coming from Sister Judy Carl. But we are going to have tours. We're going to have a ribbon cutting, so if you guys don't mind staying, we're going to do a quick ribbon cutting and photo op. There'll be tours in the back, I believe. Somebody want to? William? See William over there? Look for him. He'll be back there. Okay. That's about as much direction as you usually get for a Mercy Housing tour. So I just want to say, we haven't changed. So with that, we get to close the agenda with a blessing from Sister Judy Carl, who's a member of the Sisters of Mercy of America. She's a lifelong educator. She's been on leadership positions on, there's a long list, health, education, housing. I'm sure I'm missing something. And a good friend of Sister Lillian's, and thank you for standing this.
Thank you. I always wait for talks like Ephraim gave because they came from the residents and they tell the real story. There's an Irish saying that says, "It's in the shelter of each other that the people live." And that's what's happening, I think, in this community. So the blessing really is directed to the residents who make up this community. And think of this blessing as coming from the spirit of Sister Lillian, a woman who first and always envisioned the well-being of those who would come eventually to live here. To the residents, you live in the Sister Lillian Murphy Community. May this house shelter your life. When you come home, may you find welcome and refreshment. May your heart be tranquil here, blessed by the peace the world can't give. May you know the support of your neighbors. And may you be aware of the needs of those next door and around the corner. May this be a safe place, full of understanding and acceptance, where you can be as you are without the need of mask or pretense. May this community be a place of discovery where possibilities can emerge, a place where children can grow in health and wellness and kindness, where generations learn to share and appreciate the fullness of life. May it be a community of courage where healing and growth are cherished, and where the lonely and broken find warmth and encouragement. A home where patience of spirit is prized, and a house of welcome for all who pass this way. This is your home. Blessings to all within.
So that concludes our program. Please enjoy the refreshments in the back. William, I saw him roaming for the tour, and we're going to get a quick picture with the mayor and others, and then enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.